Hi gang, Rob here. It's the evening of 4 August 2015. I've got kind of a short video on a knife that's been around the YouTube block a number of times in various forms. And those of you who are TNPers know that this is a much beloved knife in the Nut & Fancy project. And nothing's not perfect, but this one, his love is well placed. What we got is the Cold Steel Trailmaster in its Secure X sheath, which is a molded plastic sheath that just works so well. But we're not going to talk about it much. We're going to talk about this. Oh, it's so big I can't get it all there. I can get it all in the frame. What a beauty. I have never held one of these in my hands until this one came to me from my sharpening customer, the crusty old Scott Laurie S.L. Campbell. Is that a knife? Is that not a knife fitting for a Scotsman? I mean, really, take a look at the thing. It's 5/16 inch thick spine. It's beautiful, beautiful. Flat ground clip point blade. How long is that blade, you ask? Well, guys, it's about 9.5 inches long. Handle about 5.25. Wow. The thing weighs, I don't know, somewhere around a pound. I'm not going to weigh it. Just look at that, would ya? Gorgeous clip point blade. Beautiful swedge. Brass cross guard. What do they call this? Cray X? We would normally, Cold Steel likes to rip everything off and then call it X. So Craton is Cray X. I don't know, maybe it's not something else, but it's a great handle. Almost has a tacky feel. The stippling is super functional. Has a brass lanyard tube going through its well, I guess we'd call this a semi-full tang handle. Obviously, it's a full tang knife that's over molded with the Craton material. Check out the ricasso, perfectly executed, plenty of room to sharpen. The knife is gorgeously satin finished, and it's just a whopper. I mean, guys, I can't even show you on this camera, but this thing was made to chop, made to sever, made to shear. Why is this one so exciting? Well, because of the steel. I think sometime maybe in 2014, Cold Steel went away from its old carbon steel that they used called SK5, which is a Japanese delineated steel, very similar to AISI W108, which is a water hardening tool steel. Actually, SK5 is a little chemically inferior to W108. Certainly not, from a chemistry standpoint, as good a knife steel as 1095 Crovan. And rusted really, really easily, even easier than 1095 Crovan. What we have here is 01 tool steel, which is, this is old school terminology, guys. That's O for oil hardening, number 1, 01. And it's, I guess most guys would regard it as a high carbon tool steel, but it does have some alloying elements in it. It's very rich in manganese and has tungsten and vanadium in it, and much more chromium than even 1095 Crovan. So assuming those chromium molecules don't get eaten up in carbide formation, we should get better than nothing for corrosion protection in this guy. It's a very superior steel to what Cold Steel has used in this knife in the past, in that $150 price class. They do make the Trailmaster in their Sanmai 3 steel, which is a laminated steel with a VG1 core, and I think 420 J2 over the top. like liner material, which lets the body of the knife take a really, really nice polish, but a really tough field knife steel, that VG1 core. I am going to contend that if you can deal with the corrosiveness of this 01, which shouldn't take much, it comes packed in a kind of a heavy packing grease. I think, you know, a frog lube or something similar, even in a humid or coastal environment, would probably keep this 01 looking fine. I think it's just a great deal. You know, it's $300 for a Sanmai 3 Trailmaster, and the 01 knife is basically the same price as the SK5 knife was. Just a great development from Cold Steel. Of course, I had this one in for sharpening. New knife in for sharpening. And I got to tell you, of course, it's done, but Cold Steel did a proper job on this from the factory. It was something close to 17 degrees per side, and then kind of, you know, convexed off a little bit at the edge, like you would do with a, you know, normal power equipment sharpening process in a factory. But I didn't have much correction to do. And just take a look at how good the distal taper is. Notice the width of my edge bevel stays nice and consistent, tip to hilt. Pretty good. What kind of edge does that 01 take? Well, those of you who are Great Eastern Cutlery fans know that GEC used 01 in their farm and field line, like the bullnose sod buster. Now they're using 1095 in that knife, so if you have an 01 version, like I do, count your lucky stars. But I'm here to tell you this stuff takes a wicked edge. I don't know how well I can swing this big old knife through paper in front of this camera in a confined spot, but man, it's so hard to do in this little area. And just look at the polish that 01 takes. Hard to show you, my light keeps changing. There you go. And you know, you guys may snicker at that, but even a knife with hard use application, that polished edge is going to aid durability, and it's going to fight corrosion. A big old nasty toothy edge on a knife like this used out in the field and stuck in the sheath wet, you're going to have rust in the worst possible place on the knife, on the edge. So snicker all you want at my polished edges. I contend they're a good idea on any knife. But what I really wanted to get across to you guys in this video is the build quality and fit and finish quality of this Taiwan produced Cold Steel. The satin finish is impeccable. The symmetry of the grinds is beautiful. I could only find one tiny little place of asymmetry. The swedge on the right side of the knife meets the tip just a little differently than the swedge on the left side of the knife. If you notice, the tip looks sharper looking at this side than it does looking at this side. That tip kind of runs downhill at the spine because the center line of the swedge is not quite the center line of the knife, but it's so close. Guys, it's a 9.5 inch long blade, 5/16 of an inch thick. I mean, wow. I think you could spend a lot more for a large fixed blade and not have anything this good. What do I think about this handle shape? Well, it kind of looks like a stick, doesn't it? Just a little bit of a swale in the middle and then a flare at the pommel. Just for hanging on to that pinky if you're swinging it and chopping with it. Good idea if you are swinging and chopping, to make good use of that brass lanyard tube. Around your hand, around your wrist, so if you drop the knife, let go of it. It's not flying into soft tissue of your body or another's. It's just one of the most perfect looking large survival / fighting blades I've ever seen. The blade profile is absolutely stunning. Could you imagine ripping into somebody with a back cut with that almost sharp clip? I don't know if you saw this in that shot before. That swedge is not sharpened, but it's awfully close to sharpened. If you're going to use this in any kind of a woods application, you don't want that clip swedge sharp. You just tear up your baton. Even at this state, gosh, it almost grabs skin. No reason to sharpen that. This knife will back cut just with that clip and that sharp tip and rip flesh open. And I guess I already sort of gave away the application, didn't I? It is a knife with, as John Fitson would say, survivability and fightability. Yes, it's a 5/16 inch thick slicer. Yes, it is. You can prepare food with this knife. You can cut feather sticks with this knife. You can delimb trees with limbs as big around as your thumb, anyway, maybe your wrist. The only knock on the knife as a woods blade is the full length, full width crossguard. You kind of need to be up on the spine in some of those kind of activities, and the crossguard really kind of precludes that. I guess you could go around it. But it's got to be a fighting knife too. And oh my, could you imagine having your body impacted by this thing at any kind of velocity? Oh. The brass is such a nice touch too. Don't know if it's powdered brass or if it's forged brass, but that's good looking. Just a classic touch. You know, we all regard the Randall Model 7 as kind of the classic of classics in modern fighting bowies, but I don't think it's got nothing on the Trailmaster from a visual quality anyway. I think this is probably a heavier knife than a Randall Model 7, but I would think it'll do more damage if you're swinging it. Maybe a Recon Scout would be a better comparison to the Model 7. This one is 9.5 inches long, in case I forgot to mention that. You know, I do most of my batoning, kindling making with my Ontario SP5 Spec Plus Bowie. And I probably still would, even if I owned one of these. You know, it's just kind of a beat the heck out of it knife. Probably wouldn't do that with my Trailmaster. It costs 3 times as much. But you could. I just didn't expect it to be this beautiful. I guess I sort of regarded this family, the Recon Scout, the Trailmaster, as kind of crude knives that cost a fair amount of money, but I don't think that's the case at all after having one in hand. They're kind of special. Might have to get one. Just thought you'd like to see it before it heads out of here tomorrow. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the Word and Lori's Trailmaster are sharp.